right, let's do it.
do
Yo, welcome back. We're here with the homies, the Packweight Show, and today we're chatting to Neil van der Walt, our great friend from way back when. And how you doing today, Neil?
No, good. It's exciting to chat with you guys again after many years. It's lucky to be here. Yeah.
Welcome,
Yeah,
bro.
I think the last time I skated with Neil was when I still lived in Pretoria. That was a long time ago.
When was that? That was like around 2015, is it?
2015, yeah.
10 years sounds about right. And are you still staying in Pretoria, Neil?
Yep, all the way. I'm like the lone wolf.
Yeah, home's where the heart is, but I know the skating missions are there not so many dudes around there anymore?
No, it's actually hardly anybody still. I still see Milky, like him and I hang out quite often, trying to get him to come join me for a couple of sessions every now and then. But life's changed quite a lot. People moved and they don't always have the time. Yeah. But no.
Shout out to Milky.
Yeah, I'm still hanging with him. But who else? Yeah, the other guys like Hugo, I see every now and then when he's in South Africa or in Pretoria. Then we go for a session. But other than that, I'm trying to actually, like, we used to have this WhatsApp group with some of the Jobo guys, the Alex guys, the Borgo and all those guys, and I'm trying to get that group starting again. We haven't gone for a session, but I would love to just go through and have a session with those guys.
That would be dope. And the other day I was thinking, I think a big part of the problem is not having a central skate park to go to for everyone, where it's like nice to blade and happy to be there. So one of these days we got to make our own skate park, right? I think it's starting to become a long-term goal for me. We'll see.
I actually, when I listened to Chris's interview with you guys, like his chat, and I got super inspired actually, and it's been running in my head for quite some time. I met this skateboarder the one day. His name is Josh Biekus, young guy, like let's say 21, 22. And I actually met him at Thrashers, and he said to me, "Yeah, you must come skate at my skate park in Joburg." And I said, "What?" And this is young skateboarder that just built a skate park at a mall underneath a parking lot. I don't think it's there still, but it was now recently, like a year or two ago. There was a proper, he built it by himself, and I thought to myself, "That's so cool!" Like he just did it. And I asked him, where did you? He's like, "No, I got some scrap metal," and similar to Chris's story, got some scrap metal here, and what did he say? An old refrigerator and stuff.
Yeah.
He just built a thing. So I was actually, I think like we must do it. Why not?
Dude, absolutely. Small. Yeah, and just start building it up over time. Just need to figure out the location, but it'll be super cool.
Getting a piece of ground is always, I think, the hardest part of the whole process, because once you have a piece that you can use, if it's not cemented, you have to cement it, and then you can start putting up rails and stuff, maybe stuff that's portable and easy to put up, and then build it from there.
I've been chatting to Eric quite a while about portable boxes and stuff. He's got some nice tutorials that he can share with you guys. He actually built one that can fit in his car, and that's just,
that's great.
And that's a start. I mean, you build something small, take it to a location that's quite central, and you just tune everybody. Okay, cool. I've got this box. Come session it with me, like let's say every Saturday or whatever, and then you start building it out from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chris. I mean, Eric actually told me about it too.
Yeah.
When I was in Cape Town, we had a session together. He told me about this box that he built that can fit in his car. It's quite interesting.
Yeah. I found a nice one the other day on Instagram as well that you can, I think it's similar to, I don't know if you guys follow John From. it's one that you can raise the levels, and I want to build that. That looks super cool and easy. I don't think it's too difficult to build.
I used to have a rail in my backyard that was adjustable that you could put up, so it's like close, just over your knee height, close to your hip height. But you can also put it super low, so it's like tiny if you want to try new tricks or whatever.
Yeah,
It's pretty cool.
How long
It
was
was
the
an
frame
old jack, and I just welded a rail onto it, so I jacked it
for? Sick.
and then down again, you know.
Yeah,
But
what
it
are
worked.
you?
It's just super
Yeah.
cool.
No, dude, I think anyway, for some of the listeners maybe that don't know Neil, super OG Pretoria staple of the scene. As long as I remember Pretoria skating, Neil's been part of it. So we're super happy to have you, bro. And yeah, it'd be rad to go through the sort of history of Pretoria skating. And speaking of little grind rails, I mean, the one that you've had in your garden is the longest standing P rail I think I've known of. We do have photos of it later, but maybe you can start with how did that come about? And I mean, how long have you been skating that thing?
Yo, that's a yeah, you're right. That thing has been in existence for many years. I remember at one stage, I was actually, because when Chris van der Merwe stayed in Pretoria, he built quite a lot of rails. He had his own portable rail, but he stayed around, let's say, 20 to 25 minutes away from my house. So we would always mission through to go skate there. And then I just thought to myself, I just want to build a small rail that I can session like during the week, in between classes and stuff. And then if we have like major sessions, then we'll drive through to his place. And he actually helped me build that one. It used to be a freestanding one. I didn't know anything about swice. What's that? What's swice in English? Welding. And grinding or any of that. And he actually helped me. He showed me how to do it, and he built the rail for me. And then at one stage, it started falling over the whole time. It didn't. I didn't have a nice location or anything, and then I just decided the one day, screw that. I'm gonna like mold it into put it into the ground. So I've got cement and everything, and then it didn't slide that well, and I put a PVC coping on it, and that changed today. That thing, yeah. And then ever since, it's been, I don't want to take it out ever.
Slides like a dream.
It slides like butter.
Yeah.
Amazing, dude.
Yeah. That's so cool. And the PVC pipe has never had to be replaced, or?
I had a second one.
Is it?
I had to put a second one on, yeah, eventually. I think it's almost time for a third one.
Wow.
That's killer, though. What a cool rail. It looks like such fun.
Yeah, and I actually built, like, I've many times thought I must actually make it a little bit higher, or starting off a little bit higher, or adjustable. But because it's so low, like, don't get me wrong, I've had some fucking heavy falls on that little rail. You can't imagine. Like, because it's so low.
No, we can imagine.
But yeah, I did it. It's a practice rail. Like, these days, it's the only thing I probably skate, but it's a practice rail.
I'm with you
there. Yeah.
And so, Neil, how old were you when you started skating? And when was that?
That was, I actually had to think about it a little bit the other day. Rollerblading, I was around 9 years old when I first got my first pair of rollerblades. But prior to that, we used to, quad skating was quite a thing. Rolskaatsen in Afrikaans, like that was
roller skates, yeah.
Roller skates, and we used to skate at our church. Like, everybody had roller skates and whatnot, but I wasn't too heavy into it. And then when rollerblading came about, like, all my friends had rollerblades, and I just thought to myself, well, I begged my mom. I think I bought my first pair were secondhand, actually. They were these purple plastic
they're the ones
that got on the screen.
No, No, those are my second pair.
Okay.
Yeah, this was a little bit later. So actually, before this, yeah. So these ones were my second pair, and I think around this time, yeah, around this time we started skating. We had this cafe, this small shop close to my house, where all the friends of the neighborhood got together. And we used to like rollerblade in the parking lot, and we used to play roller hockey and whatnot. And then there were some kids that would join, and I remember there was like these 3 older brothers. They were a little bit older than us, and they sessioned there and they started grinding. There was a little step there, and I remember seeing them doing a soul grind, and we were like, me and my one friend Quibus, we saw that, and we were like, okay, but this is like something else. This isn't roller hockey. This isn't just jumping. This is like they're doing something else. And I remember with these skates trying to grind and like getting into it, but it didn't work that well. But yeah, this was around probably 1994, 95, around there. No, probably 94. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's right at the beginning, really.
Right at the beginning. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. At this stage, we didn't really know about aggressive skating.
You hadn't seen it.
I haven't seen it. No.
So I mean, you saw someone grinding before you had seen Dare to Air or any of those videos. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. We saw like I remember just seeing them. I can't remember their names. It was so long time ago. I just remember seeing them do soul grinds and front sides. And then my brother, I have an older brother. Him and his friends also rollerbladed, and his one friend Gerard, he was hectic into aggressive skating, and I think it was him that that introduced us all to aggressive skating. He had the Hoax, and he showed us. I remember just my brother borrowing the tape from him, and then we were like,
no, for sure. Those videos were like a gateway drug. Once you saw the Hoax or Mad Beef, you were hooked. That was it.
Yeah, and he and I remember he's still today. He's like an incredible talented guy, but not just in what he does. Like he's an illustrator, but also like forward thinking. So he would always like introduce us to like the latest stuff, whether it was music or like rollerblading or whatever. He was always like at the front of what's trending and what's cool and whatever. And yeah, he somehow discovered rollerblading, and he was like, guys, you must check this video, and got us all amped up. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, we had such excitement from watching those movies, just rewinding them and watching again and again.
Yeah, I think Mad Beef and the Hoax, I must have watched it over 1,000 times or something.
For sure.
Absolutely. It was legendary.
I would get home after school, rewind, watch it, go skate, come back, rewind, watch it, like the whole time. Know the music, know the tricks, know the sayings, everything.
Yeah. Back to front, memorized.
So, I mean, you said this was 94. So were you aware of Mel and Brent at this time? Were you aware of the South African Nationals? Or was it's just, I mean, without sort of the internet, things didn't spread. So were you just doing it and that was happening, but you weren't aware of it? When did you sort of, hear about Mel and Brent or what they were doing?
Yeah, I remember that friend of mine, Quibus, him and this during this time, I also, you guys know Andrew Fisagi. We started getting friends. He was in we had a like a school lift club where all the parents would make turns to drop the kids off at school, pick them up after school or whatever. And his mom asked my mom, can he drive with us? And so we started to become friends. And he saw that me and this other friend, Quibus, we were rollerblading, and he said, okay, cool, he also wants to join us with that. So he started sessioning with us, and then at one point, him and Kobus actually went somehow. I don't know. It might have been one of their parents or something. Drove past Kyalami, and they saw the ramps, and they went through. I remember that they went through on a Sunday or a Saturday, the two of them, and to go check it out. And I remember that Monday at school, like they came to me, they're like, Neil, you wouldn't believe what we saw, where we were this weekend. We saw these ramps.
It's real.
You should totally come join us. And I'm like, I was a little bit like super excited and like bummed that I missed it. And I just remember, I can't remember whose parents took us, but it was a big thing. We were like begging, can we go check out these ramps? And then one Saturday or Sunday we went through, and yeah, it was, I remember the 8-footer. That was because then Kobus and Andrew were already there, so they kind of knew what to do. They've already like started dropping in a little bit and whatever. So I remember Kobus standing up on the 8-footer, and he dropped it in, and I thought to myself, that is amazing. Like how how do you do that? So we kind of like found out through that. And then parallel to that, I think my brother's friend, that Gerard guy, they also started hearing about it. And so they also started going to Kyalami, and it became this, thing. On weekends, we should just go there. But yeah, it was like kind of, that's the way we figured it out. And then that also kind of like changed everything for us, because now all of a sudden we saw rollerbladers from like they were more than us. We weren't just us little three there at the cafe skating.
But now, sorry, carry on. I don't interrupt.
No, it was just like mind blown, like this, the level that the kids were skating already at Kyalami. Versus us. We were just,
And Thrashers wasn't a thing at that time. It wasn't. When did Thrashers start? Much later.
A little bit later.
Late 90s, maybe.
Yeah, I think Thrashers opening was 96, 97.
Oh wow!
There.
Not far behind.
Not far behind. I remember going to the opening of Thrashers. That was that in itself was was also like such a cool time.
Huge.
It was huge. But yeah, that was that was 96 Thrashers. Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
And then also, sorry, go for it.
No, you carry on.
Centurion I think there were so many rollerbladers. I remember like Centurion Mall also had rollerbladers that would session there, and it kind of like you started chatting to people in your school, and they knew friends that skated at Centurion Mall, so that also became like a hub where we would go to over weekends and stuff, and then you'd meet new people there. And I remember there were many sessions there. I remember the first time I saw Clifford skating was actually at Centurion Mall. There was some street spots there, and he, like, I remember just seeing him and there was a couple of guys, Jason, and there was a Clinton guy. I think they were all friends of him from his high school. So it was a weird time, eh? It was like there were like these pockets of rollerbladers everywhere, and we started seeing each other and connecting and talking a little bit and knowing what people could do. So it was such a great time, actually.
And Kyalami was kind of a halfway between Joburg and Pretoria, the just geographically. So it was quite a good meeting point for you guys to come and for us to meet halfway. Kyalami
was
was
the first.
Praat
maar verder. Kyalami.
No, Kyalami was like a mission. Like it was always used to be like we would get somebody's parents to to take us, like drop us off like early. Like I remember, like 7 o'clock in the morning.
Earlier than a school day.
And you'd stay there the entire day.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
session, like I remember some parent would pack in like broodjies and samis and stuff, and and sometime you would get thirsty and have to walk over that dangerous. I remember my mom just saying, like, you guys need to cross that dangerous freaking road to that dodgy shop. There was that
Dodgy shop.
Well, it's wild actually, if I now think of it like that. My parents, like our parents actually, they just dropped us
leave
off
us.
there.
Just leave us
Yeah.
there. In the felt, really, because there was nothing really built up around that area at the time. It was like Larry's place with the park, and then the dodgy cafe and Shabin, and then kind of nothing around there. You know, it's open
No, it
felt.
was just felt.
And the Kyalami racetrack a little bit up the road, but yeah, it was
It wasn't like you didn't have cell phones, nothing. So
something went wrong. Find out about
Find
it.
a payphone. I need a payphone.
Crazy. And Neil, what was the first comp you then skated?
So yeah, so the first one was that 1996 Nationals. I remember just because now we started going there quite regularly, and especially like my brother's friends, they skated intermediate and stuff. They were like quite good. And I just remember like during the build up, there was like posters, if I'm not mistaken, at Kyalami, like let's say 2 months prior or 3 months prior. So we were like, the Nationals is coming. So we used to go there quite often, and they started getting their driver's license and stuff. So I could always like drive with them. They were just out of school, which was fantastic. So I was this 9-year-old, or no, I think it was like 11-year-old kid with them, with like my older brother, and just going through to Kyalami and skating and stuff. So that was like, and they kind of like, because they also skated in the comp, and it was just like this thing, we're all just going to skate this comp, and I just entered, I think it was beginner, and went for it.
That's awesome.
Do we? I don't know. We don't have slides of the 96, but Neil runs a rad YouTube channel called iRollSA, and I believe the edit's on there, right? You put some stuff up recently.
Yes, yeah. So in this process of getting stuff for today's chat, I discovered a tape with some footage of that comp. I remember my dad had a video cam, and he was quite, it was back in the day, like not a lot of people had video cameras and stuff. And I remember we asked him nicely, could we borrow this for the comp? So it was like a belief.
Big ask.
So my brother and his friend Gerard, they filmed all the runs, my run, their runs, all the advanced runs, the vert runs, and then luckily I found that tape. I knew about that tape for quite some time, but then life just happens, and always think to yourself, one day I'll digitize it or whatever. And then when I started chatting to you guys, I was like, this is a great opportunity. Let's just do it. Let's just capture that.
Nice.
So
bro,
there's
the archive grows. That's so cool. I watched a little bit of it. It's unedited raw footage. Everyone's runs. It captures the vibe there and the scene at the time. Yeah, it's super cool. Anyone wants to check that out? iRollSA.
Yeah, I'll share the links. I actually have a Vimeo iRollSA page as well that I uploaded like many years ago, with the idea to just start archiving some of our footage. So I uploaded it all South African rollerblading DVDs and footage and edits and stuff I could find. But now recently, I think the correct term is grandfathered me. So they got me in on Vimeo for free. And now I have to pay a whole lot of money to add new stuff to it. So I just decided to start a YouTube channel.
Yeah. Grandfathered you. That's a new one.
It is a term. They get you in early, and then they start adding stuff that you have to pay for later. But now you're already in this shit, and then
Oh, that's so crazy.
Yeah.
All right. Sick.
Yeah. So thank you for looking up all of those old pics and videos, and we're going to go through some of them now. We had a quick look at this one earlier. So you're probably 10 years old on the right, the second pair of skates, or roughly.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
sick. And then the other ones, you're a little bit older here. Where are these spots?
So the top left one, that was at Thrashers. Just when I got. So after that, those pair of skates there on the right, I leveled up. I saw Surf Center was a thing. Like and that's how this thing grew. Like we went to Kyalami, we saw you guys skating with Majestics and stuff. And we just looked at our own skates and we were like, this is not gonna work. And then and we saw and this was now with Hoax and Mad Beef and all that coming out. So a lot of the Oaks started buying aggressive skates, and in Pretoria there weren't any shops. That was like before Boogaloos or any of these skate shops or anything. So Surf Center was word on the street was go to Surf Center. So I bought a pair of Rosy Streets, and my friend Quivers bought a pair of Majestics, and then Andrew bought a pair of K2 Fatties. So those were like the three that you could choose from, basically. That was like the options. In retrospect, I would have actually chosen the K2 Fatties. I think they were
totally
way more advanced.
They were, for sure. Looking back at the design now, they made the most sense. You know, they didn't carry any of the wreck sort of styling that the Majestic still did, and the Streets especially.
Yeah,
you still had to buy so many extras. You still had to put on your own CDS Detroit sole plates, and the K2s were just ready to go.
Yeah, the look was a bit too far out for some people, but man, they were so nice to skate. I sessioned those for quite a long time. And
is it?
Really nice,
you
like cess slides, and they felt great. But also, they're like the wheels pointed slightly back in a way compared to a normal frame, and so they had a bit of a different feeling. They definitely had a different look, so I think some people just weren't into it. But
I tried them. I could never skate them. It felt like, I don't know, the cuff wasn't supportive enough, and it felt like your skate would go too much forward somehow.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
when I did rails, it felt like I was going over the rail with my feet. I couldn't find that balance. But I did get into it a bit. I remember we were skating this big rail in Germany, and Mark Island was complaining about his skates, and he had fatties. And I was like, dude, it's not your skates, it's you. Give me your skates. I'll grind this rail with your skates.
Skill issue, bro. Skill issue.
And I took his skates and I hit the rail and I grinded the whole thing with his skates. Then he stopped complaining.
Way to kick him while he's down, Frank. Not just skates,
because I skated a lot of street back then, so I don't know. Grinding a rail for me wasn't an issue,
No, exactly, and you could see it wasn't a skate.
It's technique.
That's classic. Oh man, this is the first Century City comp.
Yes, that was.
Is it?
Yeah, I think this is 99, so a year after PE, in the Rotanga Junction parking lot, and this is when Shane Scower, Aaron Feinberg came. I think they were the only two pros. I actually read the whole story because you sent the scans of the Daily Bread, and Arlo did a write-up of that year with Ren and Stimpy, referring to those dudes. And it was actually fucking funny to read. Like they, you know, 'cause I'd forgotten about stuff, and also to see it through their eyes at the time. Arlo was a bit older, a bit more mature than the rest of us, and having to navigate all this stuff. But yeah, that was a rad comp, and yeah, tell us about that, Neil. So did you take these photos?
I took these photos, yeah.
Yeah.
I was at this stage, I was standard 6 and Andrew was standard 7. And I went to school in a boarding school. So I just remember, and then like during that holiday, I came back and his parents were like, they're going to Cape Town for a holiday. And Andrew and I begged them. They were like, "There's this comp in Cape Town that we really want to go to." So I went down with them, and shame his brother. He's got an older brother. He drove us through every day from Somerset West or Strand through to Century City every morning and every afternoon to come pick us up.
Good.
Yeah, what a legend. But I remember this comp was to me that this was because then we had, I think this was the first comp I saw international skaters. Yeah, there was that Todd guy at the One Nationals. I remember him at that 1996. Todd
Grossman.
No one was amphithetic, really. Let's be honest.
Well, I guess
no disrespect. No, we didn't. But also, we had like Tom Fry before that. Arlo. I think.
What was he? Was he like a vert skater? Or?
I think he was like a vert skater or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when I just remember when they said, because Arlo came to this one and Aaron Feinberg and Shane Scour. I didn't know who Shane Scour was at this stage.
As well.
But I like he fucking killed it. But I remember him skating like. But Aaron, that was to me because Aaron was. There was kind of like I always looked up to Aaron quite a lot from like Hoax 3. I think he was the first time I saw him. And I remember him skating at this park. It was something else. And then I think Clifford also was at that level, like pro level already, like doing nines and stuff. So it was such an amazing time. You had these guys from America and Clifford, and that could like that was like on that level. And no, this was I was quite, and also I was just in high school. It was such a cool period. You're on holiday, you're seeing these rollerbladers that you've always looked up. I remember seeing Arlo and I was like, that's why I took that. There's one photo I remember walking up and standing there and like, I just need to get a photo of Arlo. I can't believe I'm seeing him in real life,
Yes.
After
That's
watching
amazing.
like Hoax for like thousands of times. So, yeah.
And dude, the ramps, when I look at the size of these ramps, they're massive. Like the street course was not a beginner friendly street course at all. It was like, I mean, look at those 3/4 together, the jump box. It was fucking big. And I remember it was tarmac as well. So if you didn't land, it was, you're going to pay the price. But I remember Aaron, especially his amplitude, like over the box and just with ease, he made it look, like it was nothing. I think
he did a disaster topsoil in the box and missed, and he didn't even fall over, bro. He was
I remember that. Yeah.
He just wobbled off the rail and like went and did it again, and I was just like, "What? This guy is crazy," and he's so good because he can do all this crazy stuff and not fall when he misses.
And it was just in like
disaster.
shorts.
I would be. And he was in
shorts and a t-shirt. But I think according to Arlo in the Daily Bread story, Aaron qualified first going to the finals and then didn't even rock up to the contest that day. So those folks were not in the good books with their sponsors for that trip, I think. So I think they kind of, reneged on a few of the obligations, but they were just having a jaw.
Yeah. I remember them. They have like a scooter incident or something, or crashing scooters, and like yeah.
Yeah, there was definitely something with scooters. I remember that as well.
I think they were
there
driving
was
on the wrong side of the road.
And tons of weed.
yeah.
So much
They had
weed.
like a checkers bag of weed. I remember that.
Welcome to South Africa.
There's
There
our
we
there's
go.
that.
follow.
There's that pic, and I think it's Graham Howard. Yeah, at the front. Yeah, that was. I remember just, and also Senate was quite. It moved from that, like what to this logo. This logo was quite prominent, and it was like that. The whole team shifted from the Brooke Howard and those guys and Dave Kolash and those teams to Aaron and I think
Oh,
Jeff
it became all
Fredry.
new school.
Bruno Lowe. I think this
Yeah.
was the kill team era.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Pretty
Kevin
much, yeah.
Gillen.
Kevin Gillen. Yes, yeah.
All those dudes. Yeah, fuck, it was a rad logo. Before it went sort of corporate. I think it went corporate with corporate-ish with it was like sort of a rounded logo, green and white. Remember that one? I think by then they had kind of sold some, I don't know, sold to a bigger company.
With the halo. The S with the halo, you mean?
It might have been just after that, but yeah, that was still a rad era as well.
Yeah.
Who's that airing over the box there? Sorry, it's a bit of a tiny pic, but for the viewers, we can bring it up full screen, obviously.
It was, if I'm not mistaken, it's Herman. It's
Is it?
Herman.
Okay.
Yeah, doing a flat.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Bro, those ramps are massive.
And this was, I like I think like rollerblading in South Africa started to go. We were on par. It was like all level, like everybody was just starting to go. I mean, Herman did those airs. I remember him. I can't remember if it was this comp, but there was a comp where he aired over that 3/4 pipe hip there in the background or the far back. He did an air like a one. I remember one comp he just 180'd it, and then another comp he 540'd over that. And I remember seeing that, and I just realized, we might be down here in South Africa, but we're just as good.
For sure.
Yeah.
If we had to get more guys overseas competing in those international stops, I think there'd be a lot more pros from the side of the world. If a lot of other guys had that opportunity, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Or if they just come here. I mean, that's kind of what the Alex Scroll started to become. There's a stop for international guys to come through, and
Yeah, and it brought a lot of international, not even just pros, just international people. There were people from the UK and Europe as a whole that came down to South Africa for that comp.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I think Renee Holgreen also came at one point. He was quite regular.
A few times.
Quite a few times.
He came a lot.
Yeah.
I think this year Angie might have been there as well.
I think it was the following year. Or
really?
Maybe. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it was one. I think it's just after this. The Alex.
Following.
Yeah, just after
2000.
this one. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was still in high school there in '99. That was my matric year. So I think we had finished matric and big parties.
Yeah.
Tell us about this, Neil. This looks like some local spots around you, maybe?
Yeah.
2000, right?
That's around 2000, yeah. I was around, I think, standard 7. What's that grade? What's it these days? Grade 9.
Grade 9. So like 14, 15.
Yeah. So the ones with the red frames, all those clips were taken at my high school. Actually, I was the only rollerblader in my high school. There were a couple of guys that rollerbladed a little bit, but they weren't like hectic into it. And the school was predominantly like rugby orientated or other sports. And I started being friends with all the skateboarders. They were my friends. We were like the outcasts. And I remember asking my one friend, there was this rail at our main rugby field that I always, like, each like break, I would go to that rail and go check it out and think to myself, I want to top sole this, or I want to, like think what tricks I want to do down it. And one afternoon, I just told him, his name's Yannick. I said, Yannick, come, here's my camera. I want to skate this thing. And so he took those photos, and then we went on this whole mission around the school, just all the stuff that I wanted to do. So there was that gap from the stairs into the road. That was
Whoa, into the road. That's
into
massive,
the road,
bro. That's big.
And then that's it. And that was like I just, that was quite hectic to like get yourself to go skate, being the only rollerblader. Yeah. But I got them into it as well. It was always cool. Like the beef between rollerblading and skateboarding wasn't as hectic that time just yet. So, and they were also like my friends. So they always wanted to find out, how does this work and whatever. So it was always so cool to be able to show them stuff that we can do on rollerblading. Like I showed them a lot of rollerblading magazines, Daily Bread and all that. And they were always like super psyched. But yeah, that was at high school. And then the pics here on the bottom right, that was Andrew, Dion, another friend, Rian. He used to skate with us. This was actually on our way to, we had a local church with a couple of stairs and gaps and stuff that we used to session all the time. So that was like on our way there the one day. And then the guy airing there was Grant from
yes,
Theatre.
dude. That's
and
right.
That's actually at Andrew's backyard ramp. He had a spine ramp.
Yeah. Yo, that's cool.
Yeah, his dad asked Brent to come build it for us. And yeah, they had an old tennis court. Nobody was playing tennis. And then his dad was like, I'm going to build these guys a spine ramp. I think he kind of did it as, for us to just, that they can keep an eye on us and, give us something. Like, so Andrew's house became like the, everybody just, shame his poor parents. Like we would just like live there for like weeks. And strange characters would rock up there and Tanny, they would just like give us food and make sure we don't kill ourselves. But yeah, that was one session. I just remember Grant, and that was a different Pretoria crew actually as well. They were mostly skating at Thrashers. Grant and Nick and Colin Burgess. I don't know if you guys can remember those guys.
I remember Nick and his brother Corbus.
Yes.
I don't remember Colin, but maybe if I see his face.
Yeah, they were quite a crew by themselves. They were like probably like 6 or 7 people that used to skate quite often. They were good. Yeah. And I just remember one Friday or something, they said no, they wanted to come through to Andrew's ramp, and I remember being like, this is so cool, like we're gonna get the Pretoria East guys to come skate at Andrew's house, so that was, I also started at this stage, I tried to get into photography quite a lot. My mom had an old Canon, I think it's an AE1 film camera. It was quite top of the range back in the day, and she gave me her camera and said, if you want to get into photography, here's my camera. So this was kind of like on that journey to start taking more photos and stuff like that.
Right,
that's
dude.
So cool, man. Thanks to the parents, build us a skate park, give us the cameras. Thanks, mom and dad. No, legendary. That's so cool.
It's so cool. Yeah.
Dude, and to see you in your blazer here in the one shot is quite funny as well. Wearing the school blazer, grinding the school rail.
Yeah, it was kind of like because we got we got into quite a lot of fights and stuff, being a little bit different and stuff. And I remember just wearing that blazer to was kind of like prove to the school that this is what we like. What we do is also worthy, you know. Like it's also like you know, it was kind of like my mindset, just to show you guys, you know, we can do other stuff than just rugby and cricket and all that.
Yeah.
A little bit
deserving of recognition, at least.
Yeah.
Don't see anyone else doing it.
Yeah.
It's crazy, like how schools and churches feel like they played such a role in where everyone first learned to skate. Like you'd find your school, break into your school over the weekend, or you know, this church is where they gather. And you know, it seems like almost every person we've chatted to, churches and schools have been the sort of training ground almost, you know, for a lot of people to start street skating at least.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, looking at like I just remember, and because this was in Bloem, my high school, that was like that was one cool thing, because I knew Centurion quite well and knew all the spots and stuff, and then I went to high school in a different town, so it was, and I had my skateboarder friends, so each weekend it was just I would mission with them into Bloemfontein, like into town, and find new street spots and stuff like that. So that was quite rad. And to your point, one of the first places you would go and look is either a school or a church. Go map it. Where's the churches? Let's go look.
Yeah. Can't kick us out there.
So this one, this was actually on one of those missions. This was a spot at the University of the Free State. So it was right next to my school, and they had a rule, if you were in the boarding school and you went outside of the schoolyard, you had to wear your school uniform and stuff. So now obviously I wanted to go skate, and that didn't work that well. So what I used to do was I would go play golf. So we had these rugby fields right next to the university. I would take a golf ball and a club, and then hit the ball all the way down the fields, and then accidentally hit the ball over the fence. So I had to go get the ball on the other side. So I would sneak through the fence, get my skates.
Elaborate.
My story to tell. I hit my ball over there and then ended up skating the whole day.
And then like sneak back in, and but this was quite a rad spot. It was quite nice. There was a couple of ledges here, and this little step I learned a whole bunch of stuff on. There was I would spend hours here every afternoon and just skate and skate and skate.
Sessioning. That's super cool.
So I think 2002, Neil? If
this is
slides here.
This is around 2002, and that stair gap, it was also one of those. I remember like thinking to myself, my time at the school and like being there and having friends that can take photos, and just this opportunity is running. It's getting to an end. So I just remember one day I said to, again, my friend Yannick, dude, here's the camera. I'm gonna do this gap, and it's quite a hectic one. There's a door.
Gnarly, bro.
Yeah, it's
big.
It's like 12 stairs or something.
Yeah. I remember the first time I tried, because there's two photos. The first time when I was in the air, I was like, oh shit, this is a little bit higher than I anticipated. Well, fuck. And then, and I think I fell I remember falling quite hard on that at one of these attempts. Hitting. I remember hitting my jaw against my legs.
Oh damn!
The impact.
Yeah, that's an impact.
But then I was like, you have to try it again, and then just. But I mean, we were young. That it's amazing, like that stage in our lives, what your body could take, and you could just stand up and
do it
we
again.
would throw ourselves down rails and then fucking do it again. Like,
yeah.
Hey.
Yeah, I would cry now. I would lie there.
I get that little cringy feeling in the back of my legs thinking about it sometimes. So. A shout out to Andrew Fasaki, the nice guy, Brian.
Exactly. And I mean, no, go Neil.
No, that's just one of the many sessions at his house on that spine ramp.
Oh, is that where it is? Okay.
Yeah.
That's a great photo.
Thanks.
Nice one.
Really nice.
Yeah. And I mean, I know it's stairs and that sort of thing. It was like, as long as you went fast enough to clear the stairs, your fall's going to be way worse if you haven't gone fast enough and you're landing halfway down the stairs. You know what I mean? Rather send it and clear everything and then figure it out than not go fast enough.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, you need enough speed to slide.
Yeah, totally.
I think that's, and also at one point, I don't know if it's the same with you guys, but at one point I started feeling more secure doing a 180 than landing forwards. Because if you fall on a 180, you can kind of like fall in and just like curl into like a fetus position, just slide.
A sliding fetus. That's
end up doing the sliding fetus.
But if you land forward, there's that opportunity for like a scorpion,
Yeah,
sliding fetus into a scorpion.
I think the impact is way worse when you go forwards than it is going backwards. But you can feather the impact a lot more going backwards with the toe landing on your toes and then your heels first. Then forwards, it's straight. There's no feathering. You just impact. You have to handle it all in one go.
Like a forward 360 also feels like that, eh?
Oh, it's so hectic.
Can't feather.
That's just my take on it. I'd rather do a 540 than a 360.
Yeah.
I guess we weren't really scared of landing backwards and tripping backwards. That's one way to hurt your head. But as you say, generally you would kind of slide out.
Yeah.
Forwards to forwards. Right. Yeah.
Those are the worst, eh? If you land back and you have that little spring, like it's like, and then here's some cuck.
Here's some classic Kyalami photos.
I think this is Nationals 2002, Neil. Am I right?
Yeah. It's around. Yeah.
Yeah, I just thought this is such a. I mean, Herman and Cliff in their Red Bull helmets here just dominated at this point. I don't think anyone could touch them on the street course, on the vert ramp, and then obviously some great shots of Claudio there on the far right. Rest in peace. And he was definitely putting the pressure and coming strong, like as a youngster starting to challenge Cliff and Herman. He was good.
He was skating really well at this time.
And all of us
really well.
He was pushing all of us.
He was breaking that top 5 for sure.
He was extremely talented. I remember him like coping, how good he was on coping, especially in that time, like with the skates and then like I remember the switch ups that he did on coping. He was super talented
and fast. He'd skate really fast and smooth.
Yeah, and a cool guy. I remember he was like very cool.
Very
Do you remember where he was from?
Very cool.
Like he was also like East Rand side, I think, or somewhere there.
I want to say Benoni.
Yeah, that's
He had
the
a,
vibe.
they had a crew. Like there was a guy, Ronnie and him, and
Right.
there was like a little crew from that side.
Mm.
But yeah,
Nice.
Yeah.
at this stage, I remember because I can't. I think it was when Angie and them were here or were on their way or something. I just remember at this point, I started thinking of I wanted to start taking photos of skating for somehow for rollerblading or something. And I remember at this comp, again borrowed my mom's camera, but she had this very nice sharp lens, fast lens. So these pics really, and I remember taking them and developing, especially the one with Clifford, where he did that disaster. That because that was a disaster. That's a true story.
True topsoil, yeah.
And I remember him like that. That one to me, I was super proud of that photo.
Dude,
When I
they're great
developed it, I
pics.
was
So sick.
And that's Craig Schmedel judging in the background there.
yeah, it's Greg
I don't know if you
Smedel on
guys
the left.
noticed, yeah. And then Frank and
then-
Garrett on the right.
Yeah,
Kyalami's
Yeah.
most wanted.
Rustenberg in the house.
and I think
RTB.
you had a rollerblade shirt on, Frank, if I'm not mistaken.
It looks like
I remember you
It's the
wearing
rock
that
that
shirt.
rollerblade shirt.
Yeah. And I thought to myself, I wonder, like, I remember because you didn't see Rollerblade, the brand, that often
Yeah.
in South Africa.
No.
And I wondered where the hell did Frank get that shirt? Like, where? There was quite a thing back then. If you'd see somebody with a brand that you couldn't find here, it was also like, how did you get that shirt? Like, oh.
I think I got it overseas on one of the trips.
Yeah.
Must have, yeah.
No, I can't really remember, but yeah.
Yeah.
The shot of Claudio.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay,
Such a rad vibe there during the comps. Hey, like everyone pulled up on the grass in the stand. I don't know. It's just very crowd friendly, I think.
yeah.
Nice spot.
And who's bottom right?
Neil, maybe you know.
I can't remember the guy's name.
I thought maybe Vuyo or Nick. I don't remember Nick.
Could have been Nick, yeah.
He used to stay up the road from me. Yeah, I thought it was one of those two dudes, but rad shot. And that box, that ground box was there as long from the beginning of Kyalami till the end. That was like the main ground box. We'd move around and
that was a cool box. Yeah, I learned a lot of stuff from that. That pic of him, there's that was actually, I think, just after the comp. There was, and I think the one with you as well, Byron, was like in between sessions. Remember, the comp would happen, but then there were like these informal sessions, just like during
snake sessions.
Yeah, and some people would do the most insane stuff. And I remember just with my camera being, I need to be there, like to try to get some nice shots. And I remember that I think those two were taken during one of those sessions.
Rad. Those were some of my favorite skates. The Kutais with the gray frames. Oof, good memories.
Yeah,
those skates were awesome.
Yeah.
And I remember at this stage, Byron, you started doing quite a lot of disasters and stuff and disaster tricks. I remember you leveled up.
I was pushing myself at that stage. I remember at the time, like, because I wanted to do well, I even like didn't drink for a whole month before the competition. And I was trying to, because like every time we would go to a comp, we'd like do pretty good in the prelims and then drink too much at the party, and then finals is just like devastated, like hungover and just like can't perform. So I think that one where I did really well, I actually had like stopped drinking for a month and was like legitimately trying. So that was cool.
I remember you skated super well. There was one where you did a disaster something, I think on that corner rail. You were battling it with Clifford, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
To Ali Porn Store or something.
Well, that
Yeah.
was the previous year when we were
Oh.
we were doing best trick, and like Cliff and I were trying to true spin that thing, and Herman was like, "Bro, can someone just do a royale or something?" But and Cliff won that year because it was it was the best trick competition was sort of separate to the main competition, which was still single runs, and then the following year when it was the format was group sessions, it was like 4 people skating at the same time, and eventually it was just him and I left in the finals, and I managed to land the Disaster Soul on there and won it that year. And so that was the year after I'd broken my finger there. But yeah, we were definitely like throwing ourselves at the time, or I don't know. It sort of felt like we were at the prime of our youthful strength in terms of rollerblading, and then from there it was a bit more just trying to finesse it, I guess. Is that Gaza in the bottom left, or is it you, Neil?
That was me. That was during I think my brother took this photo. This was during my run. They were sitting at the top here, him and his friends. At this stage, I think we started skating intermediate. Me, Andrew, I think Morgan and Vuyo, because I remember one comp I skated with them in beginner, and then like the next comp we all kind of started moving up in intermediate and stuff. But yeah, I think that was, I'm trying to think which year this was. Probably 2001, 2002, around there.
Yeah, definitely.
If I'm not mistaken, sorry, in that one, where are you going in that top one there, top left, Neil? Like I was looking at it and trying to figure out where did you come from, where are you going? It looks like
I thought the same thing. It must be out the park. You must be launching out the park, right?
Are you jumping off the big corner out?
Yeah, out. Yeah, I remember that was.
There was a little strip of sidewalk there. Yeah.
Yeah,
dude, that's sick, bro. That's pretty wild.
Yeah, that was I think it was my last run in the finals. My brother and I chatted, and he was like, "Yeah, you need to," because we started studying, what made a good run, and I kind of like saw the pattern. You start off with a bang, like you do a big air or something. You grab everybody's attention and get them in, and then you can do a couple of like more comfortable grinds and stuff, and then maybe do like mid run, do like something cool again, like, well, okay, you're still there, and then chill it out a little bit, and then at the end you go out with and I remember him saying to me, why don't you gap off that thing at the end? And that was kind of like my ender. I can't remember if I landed it. I don't think so.
It's a sick photo. It looks so cool.
Looks crazy.
That's calculated, bro. I mean, it's like you were sort of figuring out what is the crowd going to enjoy. It's performing almost. You know what I mean?
It is. Yeah.
For the judges, number one, I suppose. But I mean, I don't think all of us thought about all those things, and that's why it took us a bit longer to figure that shit out. Whereas Cliff and those dudes kind of knew. I don't know, they had it dialed in maybe from more competition experience than the rest of us. But there was a formula.
I remember, especially the runs with we have like 60 minutes and it's just you. It wasn't that group sessions. Then I remember just skating a few comps, and then you would fall on like the second trick, and it would like kill your momentum and everything. And I saw the guys that were starting to place and stuff. They were consistent. Consistency was triumphed, basically everything. Because if you could last till the end of your run, I just remember this time I would like think for months ahead. That's another thing I saw from Clifford. Was I remember like weeks prior to the comps, I would start noticing. Like, you have to remember, we would get at the park, and then you guys would arrive there, and we would just like go sit and watch how everybody skates, and then we would start studying what is these guys doing. And I remember Clifford would get there. Him and a couple of guys would get there, and then they would practice the tricks that they're going to do in their run, but like full on practice it, like over and over and over and over again. And I remember just at this point, like months prior to the comp, I would start writing down, okay, cool, this is what I think I could do. I don't want to like try a trick that I know I might fall. You know, there's like an 80% chance I might fall. You need to be quite certain you can land that trick, and then start building my run. Even now to this day, sometimes I think, what would make a cool run like at this park?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, I think that you're exactly right. Like you would study the other skaters and you would know what you wanted to do, but like knowing how to put a good run together was also not the same thing as doing it. Like it was so difficult under that pressure to do what you wanted to do sometimes. And as you say, if you had one fall, it really like put a damper on your whole run. So it wasn't easy by any means.
But you know what's actually like how much like those runs and competitions and stuff actually helped me later in my life, because it's like you say, that pressure, and like the worst was like you would do the first trick, land it, and be like, oh fuck, I'm so super tired. Like,
Totally.
I have like no strength left, and I still have to skate for 60 minutes. But I mean, I guess that taught us all like endurance and just coping under that pressure, because it's hectic, eh? Like we were young, and you still, you know, like everybody's looking at you, and you have to do something that you think to yourself, you know, is good. So I think mentally it was really good for us.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Because it wasn't just like it was a fun thing. It was quite a strenuous thing to put yourself through, to have, like, as you say, everyone watching, and then like, okay, it's your turn. You go now. Show us what you got. Like it's a hectic thing to go through.
3, 2, 1. That's it. And then you like, I just remember like you're in it, and then you hear them saying your name, and you're like, okay, but don't concentrate on your name. Concentrate on the freaking trick.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of external sources that can distract you from what you want to do, you know.
Yeah.
But it normally felt like you tune it all out, or I don't know. To me, it was like you almost are not aware of what they're saying.
Yeah.
Maybe that was just my experience.
Depends on how focused you were.
Yeah.
If you weren't focused enough, you could lose focus. But if you were, it was all just a blur, and you were just focused on what you were supposed to do. But all of this brings back so many memories. Yeah,
it really was.
Very cool times.
Herman with the stylish red trim.
Yeah, no, definitely outfit of the day.
Fit of the day.
Fit of the day.
This red weight monster over here. That was so rad. The Kutas with the red frames. That's all. Ooh.
And that's when you were doing random probability theorem, Byron.
Yeah. Look at that graffiti over there.
And I think that shirt Herman's wearing is an RPT shirt. It was like before roll one, and so I think Gaz had just passed here, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
Yeah, I think even in this year that So I remember we when you painted that, I feel like it was shortly after his passing.
Yeah. Sounds like about that time frame, 2000, 2001.
2002, yeah. The peak Kyalami era.
My brother and I, actually, it was one of the Alex Grolls. We took the bus down from Pretoria to Cape Town, and at one point, on one of them, Gaza was actually also on the bus, and it was such a cool thing. Yeah, I can't remember which year it was, but it
was not Port Elizabeth. Did you go to Port Elizabeth, Neil, in '98? No, not that one.
No, not that one. Yeah.
Because I know we definitely caught a bus back from there, and like after that, it was like, no, the train is way better than the bus. But so you guys went from Pretoria to Cape Town in a bus.
Yeah.
Wow. That must have been brutal.
That was horrible. That was like a 21-hour drive.
Dude, no.
Oh,
And
and you
I
only have
remember
like one break where they stop, I think. We also took a bus once.
it was no, it was they get there and you're like, and yeah, I because my brother, I was standard 8 and he was like a few years out of school. So my mom said, because again I begged her, can I go? And she's like, I don't know, like maybe take your brother, like ask your brother if he's keen. And my brother's like, yeah, sweet, I'll go. Like it's a cool trip for him as well. And we stayed in that hotel, that
Lion's Head.
Lion's Head. And then I just remember I was like young, I was standard 8 and chilling with everybody, having beers and at that hotel. And just feeling so cool. And like my brother's there, so it's all good. Yeah.
It was cool, bro. We had so much fun on those trips. It was raucous.
Wow. When we were all staying in that hotel together. Whew,
Yeah.
times
Big
were
trouble.
wild.
I remember there was videos of us pranking people and just chilling in the hotel rooms, and it was crazy.
So yeah, this was I think that's you, Frank, there on the left,
Yes.
bottom left.
Bottom
Bottom
left.
left, yeah.
Yeah,
that's
you
me.
were hectic into the breakdancing. I think at this stage already you started.
Mm.
Yeah. I think Morgan and I got into breakdancing at a similar stage. It was around, I think I got into it around 98, 99.
Mm.
And this is
And
also
then that's
cool during those comps. In between the skating, there was breakdancing and the DJ. I remember that friend of my brother, Gerard, he was into DJing himself.
Sick.
So he was like, when Ready D came, he actually just came for Ready D to check what he was doing.
Yeah.
And then a lot of
Ready D
people
was
came-
a show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was such a cool, like everybody had the thing that they were interested in.
Dude, I remember before Ready D joined, it was C Live. Remember, Clive?
Oh yeah.
DJ C Live used to be the DJ for a little bit. And before that, I think it was literally Brent putting on a CD.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
eventually,
then before
you
that,
know,
we all picked our own songs and we had to give our CD and the number for our run. That's how it worked.
Absolutely.
So yeah, having Ready D was, I mean, C Live also went on to do some big DJ stuff. I'm not sure what he's doing now, but Ready D, I mean, that was, as you say, top of his game and a big name to have there.
C
Yeah, it was
Live performed on the radio for a while. He was
Yeah,
on,
radio
It
show.
was dope.
yeah.
Yeah. And at the top is it Claudio on the left again?
Yeah, it's
Yes.
Claudio and
Morgan.
and Morgan, yeah.
Yeah.
And in the back it was Vuyo and Demogene.
Yes, it's Demo.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Dude, he'd make. That's right.
Wolverine.
Dude, I was gonna say he makes such a fucking good Wolverine. Like,
Definitely.
young Wolverine, easy, better than Hugh Jackman.
Did he have the healing regeneration factor? Because man, he was throwing himself out the park.
He skated like he did. Skated like he had adamantium bones in him.
Check out that comp footage on that I uploaded. There's a like his run. He did a switch bio. I remember at that stage switch was a thing. Like if you did a switch trick, he showed
Signal.
signal that was switch. And I remember him doing a switch bio over the fun box, landed, went back up, did it naturally. And I always that's hectic. Who does a switch bio?
I dig that pic on the top left. Did you take that photo?
Yeah.
Yo, dude.
Crazy.
Some faces in there. I mean, from the left, I don't know if you remember
Neil Jacobs.
Neil Jacobs on the left. Do you remember Neil? Neil?
I remember the face, but I didn't think I ever chatted to him.
I think he'd like b-boy and rap, and probably that was his interest there, I would imagine.
Dude, he
And
could
then
still do a backflip on rollerblades. On the fun
True,
box.
true.
I'd seen
Yeah,
him
he could
do-
skate a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He could backflip
Oh, he
off just
also
about
skated.
anything.
yeah,
Yeah.
you're right.
Yeah. I remember he backflipped off the ramp.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
The vert
Crazy.
ramp. He backflipped off the vert ramp.
Well, rest in peace, Neil Jacobs. That was all. Yeah, that
Yeah,
was.
for sure. And then I think
And
it's
is that
Cliff
Rainier in the middle? Yeah, Cliff Herman.
Rainier, yeah. Don't know where he is these days. What up, Rainier?
Yeah, just
Then Gaz, then Craig Schmidl,
Yeah.
Jackson and you.
Jackson, and myself. Yeah.
That is such a cool pick.
Dig that one.
I think it was during the prize giving at one point. I remember just taking I took a lot of crowd shots and just random shots.
That's
think
so cool.
I wanted to do like something with the photos, like send it to a magazine or just something, you know. I was like getting into that, just take photos everywhere I go. Do something with it. I don't know what, but just take photos. I remember the prize giving. That was you know, kind of like hoped I could share it with somebody afterwards or something. But life just like
Well, we're getting to share them now at least. 20 something years later. Here's this photo I took. And then what's a prize giving there for the boys? Must be Vert on the top right. Craig Schmidl, number 1. Herman, number 2. And I'm not sure who that other dude is.
I think his name is, if I'm not mistaken, Stuart Pisani or something. I think he's from.
Yes.
Familiar.
I remember him.
He was quite good, eh? Like I remember he was.
Was he from PE?
I think so.
I think so. Yeah, that sounds right.
I remember.
There was another
PE guys
guy.
were crazy on the vert because they had that vert bowl thing.
Wayne, what is the other guy's name? Wayne
Iverson.
Yeah.
He went huge, bro. That dude, he did some big stuff.
Yeah.
He was also a big guy. He was
very
very
tall. Very tall.
Yeah.
Yo, now we're looking at Alex Scroll Cup.
2002, Alex Scroll. Yeah, I tried to go nationals first because they'd be mid-year, and then Alex Cup would be end of the year. Just flipping amazing to have those 2 big events a year. I mean, that's all it really was. But so much effort went into those 2 events, and they were 3-day-long events each. It was like Friday to Sunday. But yeah, I mean, that kept things going for many years.
Yeah,
that was, you know, when I listened to Mel's interview, and also just thinking back and like being older now, it's actually such a legend thing that they did, eh? Like they dedicated, they like went all in and held these. That's like so.
Yeah, I mean, look at these parks.
Yeah,
when you just look at the parks, you're like, whoa, this is insane.
And exactly, you're not sure the amount of enjoyment in person hours of the people that skate at these parks is like astronomical numbers.
Yeah,
we're talking like and who's the guy on the right here? He was a pro who had come from overseas or just a visitor. Jose?
Yeah, he was I can't remember his name, but he was from Spain. Yeah, he was. I remember
Marco something. Eric actually. We spoke about him in one of the previous episodes, and Eric put in the comments.
Eric had the name.
And I mean, he's jumping off the back railing into that 12-foot speed ramp, whatever it is, like maximum boost.
Dude, and climbing on that thing is dodgy, bro.
Just standing on there and jumping off is a stunt, dude. Let's be honest.
Dude, I mean, if you fall off backwards, it's like more than 12 foot that you're falling down.
Yeah, no,
like 13 and a half foot. Cheers.
I remember him calling those 2 guys there on the side. I remember like he called them, come stand here, and they kind of held him up until he got his balance, and then he went for it.
Bro, and then into a 900. I think he was going 900 over the box. Him and Cliff were the only ones. Maybe Dylan was doing 900s at the time. Maybe Tristan actually as well. But not many dudes could do a 900.
Yeah.
No. And not many could land it either. It was Cliff and
Yeah.
I think him they were landing the 900s.
I think that's Cliff doing a 900 on the left. I think the way
it's a
he's
fork
spinning,
run.
Yeah.
such a crazy axis, dude.
That was
Wow.
there was this little wedge next to that, because there was that down rail, and then there was this little
Little mini.
kicker.
Mini
Yeah.
ramp
Kicker,
with
yeah.
the
Almost
with the
like
exit.
a spine. It wasn't very long. It was
Yeah.
short.
And I remember
Yeah, kind of
and
like
I
a
think-
spine, but with a fun box landing.
Yeah. And this was before I remember that taking these photos. This was before the comp. It was again one of those informal sessions where Clifford would try his tricks prior to the comp, and I remember, and I had time because there wasn't rush or anything, and I could get that angle right because he did it a couple of times and it didn't feel right. And I remember that one particularly was okay. Cool. I got my angle, got
Sick,
the photo.
dude. Great
Yeah.
photo.
Sick. Yeah.
And then
and
Byron's
then-
at the House of the
Yeah.
Flying Daggers stance. Yeah, that's so sick, dude. Such a
But I
great
think-
photo, dude. That's true spin, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where your body's contorted to do it.
I think you gapped from. Didn't you gap from the side or something? Or I remember there was
Oh,
something.
dude.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I don't know about that one.
Was some, and then I think I remember being stoked about that photo as well. So all of these photos, I remember developing them in Bloom when I went back to school, and then having them and putting there, showing all my friends there and stuff. Like check
Cool.
December, I was at this comp
Wow.
and putting it up. It was kind of like my own version of Daily Bread.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So cool.
Sick.
Very cool stash to see of pictures of these. And I think that's Rainier, bottom, middle, maybe again? Or
Yeah.
Yeah.
dope style.
Super
Yeah,
steezy
very
as
cool
always.
pics, yeah.
Yeah, man. Sure.
Yeah, I think
this
some of them, hey, Neil,
This is a dope
2003, according to your, because you can see the park looks different. It's a different color here.
Yeah.
Might be one or two new obstacles, but yeah, it's the only one we had from this year.
Yeah.
Time frame.
If I'm not mistaken, I took a couple of other photos here, but
I'm sure.
it was film. And when I went to go and develop it, they kind of stuffed up some of the photos. I don't know what they did.
Overexposed them or just
Yeah, they just messed them up completely. And this was kind of like
Could
one
have
of
been
few.
that they let light into the film by accident.
Yeah.
hmm.
Yeah,
That could happen with film.
it was such a just out of that time. I remember just you buy like 3 rolls of film or 5 rolls, and you had 30. I think it was 36 photos opportunities on each film. So each photo you took, you really needed to think, okay, cool.
Try to
this
time
is
it right.
Yeah.
And it's expensive to develop as well.
Yeah. So this was like just after school. This was 2004 for me, and
Boys.
yeah, we started. This was cool. We just out of school. Everybody had cars or started getting cars, or people studied or they started working. You had all this freedom, and we started sessioning quite a lot. I think the top left was one day, and you guys actually came through
Yes.
from Joburg to come skate those truck rails. Yeah, that was such a. I think that was one of the first sessions that we started having with you guys. We used to start going through to Joburg, or
Yeah.
you guys come to this side. I just remember that was a cool time, and also the scene at this stage I think started slowing down a little bit more. It was still good, but it wasn't as big as it used to be. And we kind of all started
and I think we were trying to focus more on street skating. Like we were definitely filming for Stereotype around this time, and so we were trying to go on on 6 skate sessions. As you say, it was that time in like just post high school and varsity sort of early adult years where we did have more freedom and would just go to the most, I don't know, like random places and try get cool skate clips. Yeah, I remember sessioning here at Tux, and then shout outs to Walt. And that rail bottom right is like a famous Pretoria rail, right?
Yeah, that was that rail. It was called the bull rails. There was this massive bull statue.
Yes,
just to the side of it. Those rails were nice run up, not too high.
It was like
knee height, and then eventually I think that was also one of the first street sessions I had in Pretoria, moving back from high school.
Oh, nice.
You see that yellow Volkswagen Beetle there in the background. That was Emil's or Corpse.
Yes.
And he was. I remember him driving. Like we took a quarter lift. All of us caught a lift with him, just sessioning through Pretoria streets looking for spots, and it was so rad. It was.
Those sessions were the best, dude. You would get home after a long day of doing that, and like sit with the boys and your skates off and watch old footage and clips, and maybe have a beer, and just like the sense of I don't know, just like contentment after the day's session was always an amazing feeling. I thought it was like just like really good vibes.
And it was like, in a sense, like a high on its own, like you had this feeling of that nothing else can give you, Just this
accomplishment.
Well,
you're outside in the sun, in the fresh air, having fun, getting some exercise, and then like just being happy with how you skated, hopefully not injured. Like those are always slightly different evenings, or you might still be happy, but you'd be like, oh, my arm, my hip, my knee. But it was just contentment. It feels like the word for me. Accomplishment as well, if you landed tricks that you wanted to, and just happiness from like the session with the friends and the laughs and the I don't know, just like overwhelming good times. It was
the jokes so cool. And the stuff in between. That's probably what I missed the most. Just the
the lulls.
Somebody would do something funny or land funny. It was just like it. I think for a human being, that was like the perfect greatest mental activity that you could do. Seeing your butt, exercise outside, meeting new people, seeing places. So
having laughs, and just like man, we had such good times.
So this was actually
Cape Town.
That previous pic of myself and Walt. There's actually this was on our way to this comp. Him and I, we begged his. We didn't have a lift down. Like Andrew and a couple of guys drove in his car, but there wasn't space for us to join them. So Walt and I begged his mom, and she had this small Chevy Spark car. It was like a really tiny car, and him and I drove down to Cape Town in that thing, like, and it couldn't go very fast. I think the top speed was like 100 kilometers per hour or something. But we were like determined. We were like, we're going down Alex Grohl. And I remember just this time, this was like the Cape Town skaters out of my view, they were kind of like dormant. Like you knew about them. You started seeing a couple of them at the comps, like didn't know them that well. And then at this comp, I remember just feeling, holy shit, what is going on in Cape Town? Because these guys are like skating so good. I can't remember if this was for Alex Grohl or for one of Chris's comps. I want to say Alex Grohl.
Might have been.
I'm not sure. It was like a
One of
street
Chris's,
comp,
I think it
not
was
keep
one of
it
Chris's
roll.
comp.
You don't think it was a keep it roll like after the Alex roll maybe? Anyway.
It could be like I just remember
Mm.
this was like a proper session. I mean, there's so many people here. There was like, yeah, there was. I think this was the first time in like SA rollerblading where everybody just was so happy to like just be able to skate with each other. There was like all the
Yeah.
crews were there.
Yeah.
Joburg, Pretoria, Cape Town, PE. I think Sean and them were there.
Yes.
Oh, it was such a cool get together.
Now, I think this is the first time I met Eric, or even if we met, I'm not even sure if we met properly, but you know, just aware of these other dudes, Miyagi, Martin. I think Nick Mudskip is there as well. There's like I'm trying to think, Lloyd.
Yeah.
You know, Cape Town OG skaters now.
You see, Anton also
Anton.
there.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, this was I remember seeing them and being like, shit, these dudes are getting good. And they're doing like tricks that they still skate a bit sketchy, but they're doing switch ups and shit. You know, like things that were a bit ahead of where we were. We were just like able to do we had gotten our tricks down solidly, but switch ups were starting to become a thing. And I felt like these dudes were ahead of us. I was like, shit, these dudes are going to be better than us. Like, yeah, like it made me, I was a bit intimidated. I remember at these sessions because I felt like, fuck, this is like new blood, you know?
Yeah.
And they're fucking good. And yeah, just, it was rad to see, yeah. And I mean, they continued to progress.
I think also because at this stage, I mean, there wasn't Facebook or any of that. So fishbrain.co.za, that message board and stuff was quite how we all connected. And like with Eric, I didn't know he was. And at this session was the first time I matched the guy on Facebook on the Fishbrain. It's him.
Yeah, there was some shit talking on Fishbrain. Let's face it. Early internet forum trolling.
Some funny shit. Yeah. So this was, I think, this was kind of like that. In that time when we started sessioning quite often with you guys. The two pictures at the top were in Hillbrow one day.
Yeah.
There were some like hectic rails there, but it was also a hectic area. I remember it was
for sure, bro. Yeah, no, those parts of Joburg that we used to go into, like you would if you didn't have skates on, you'd never think to go there. You wouldn't.
Yeah, we wouldn't be walking
somehow skates just gave you this like little magical key that you pass through safely. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah. I remember that session, like there were these flats on the sides, and I just remember all the people looking out of these flats and shouting at us and stuff. And then when a couple of us started hitting the rail and landing the couple of tricks, they saw, okay, but these guys, they can actually do what they started clicking. What are we doing here?
Yeah.
So they started cheering us, and I thought to us, I remember just that was like the weirdest experience in my life. I thought like I was so out of my comfort zone, like just being in that area.
It's pretty stressful in a couple of ways.
But it was so cool in a way as well. It was like they like cheered for us, and we were it was cool.
And that rail on the right, I mean, did anyone ever hit that? I don't even remember that rail, but it's a beauty.
That's barely.
Goes straight into the road.
Yeah, I think it went down to dirt there. It looks like dirt at the moment.
Dirt, but then there was a road down there.
Just gap to the road. Easy.
That's quite a big rail you're doing in the bottom left there, John, as well. Like that thing is high.
Yeah, that's the
Oh.
same one Walt was skating in the previous one.
Yes.
I think that clip is actually in Stereotype.
Nice.
Yeah. That was because that was
I was at
at
the university,
Tux as
yeah.
well.
Mm.
And I remember we like during classes and stuff, we would check these rails, and then but you couldn't skate it during the week. There was just too many students. And then when you guys said you want to come through to Pretoria to have a session, we were all like, let's go hit that rail, because then now it's like, you know, it's time. We've been seeing this rail for I think Chris's, both of them actually hit it prior to this session, and then that day we were like, Dix, they're gonna enjoy this. This was because that was also like, you guys drive all the way. We want to take you to like proper
Decent
places,
Some
you know?
real shit.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Shout out
Who's,
Chris. I don't think anyone else did that real bottom right. Chris van der Merwe.
who's the other
Yeah.
Chris? Is there another Chris? You said Chris is
Chris
Engelbrecht. Yes, of course.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, those two, yes. So this was also during, I'm not too
That's
sure if
kind
it
of
was,
linked back to the other one, maybe,
Yeah.
with all the Cape Town guys. Did you take that photo of Steve?
yes, yeah.
Obviously. Dude,
Yeah.
what a
So
photo.
rad.
Fuck, I dig it, man.
Shout out
I mean,
Steve.
Yeah, it's so rad.
Yeah, shout out
Shout
It was
out
Steve.
actually
Steve.
uploaded.
Very nice.
So good, bro. Yes, and the dudes were killing it there.
Yeah.
But I remember this session, John. I had the same conclusion, like, because they hit this rail and they just did the one switch up after another, and I just
Yeah.
thought to myself, like, they are 7 years ahead.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know if I can do that. You know, that's kind of where my mind was at. And yeah, it is intimidating, totally. And then
Even
what's that? Yeah.
even that rail, it looks on photo and footage, it looks low, but it's quite a high rail. I remember trying to skate that thing. It's not an easy rail.
Not as
No,
easy as they're
not at all.
making it look here.
Mm.
For
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, I mean,
But yeah, you're,
there's footage of Eric doing like 3-4 switch shots on this rail, and of Chris as well. And yeah, you think,
Absolutely
oh,
killing
it's not so bad, but when you're there, you're like, whoa, okay, no, it's not
Yeah, it's not that easy.
it's but this was a rad day. I remember it was so cool just to go out and skate street with these guys, and just being part of such a big group. It was so like
Yeah, there were so many of us. It was a real gang.
yeah.
That was awesome. Shout out to all the Cape Town dudes. That was
Yeah, it's Martin there,
Sick
and then I
times.
think it was
Martin and Matt.
Sorry, and then Earl is in the top one, being the top pawn is
Yeah.
Earl Everett.
Yeah.
Yeah, Matt
Oh,
in the middle.
definitely a nice sunny day.
Indeed. So this is 2003 Alex Cup, right?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah. Yo, dude,
can
the
be wrong.
crowd's so
Yeah.
big.
Yeah,
here.
massive
Huh?
crowd.
Yeah, dude, like it's just so weird how it came to the sudden stop, because if you look at the photos, it doesn't seem like any tapering off. It just seemed like it was getting bigger every year.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and I don't think we'll ever probably know. I mean, if Mel doesn't know, then well, I suppose she had an idea, but yeah, it's just
But
weird
yeah, in
how
this
you
one,
kind of
there
lost
was-
that, you know?
I think in this one there was graffiti, breakdancing, and then those comps also became big.
Yeah.
So there was all the graffiti artists and their following, all the breakdancers and the following, all the rollerbladers, and people came out to these comps from
All
Europe to skate
Yeah.
this. And it was like there's so many people. I mean, I think there was even like other disciplines started coming here to these comps,
Yeah.
like skateboarders and BMXers
BMX,
too.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
that's
it just
probably
became
when
massive.
you see. It's like I'm always sort of two-minded about this. As in, did when we started including BMXing and skateboarding, did we end up sort of diluting our own scene a little bit and not having anything that was just ours? You know, because
I don't think so. I think the problem for us came when it was taken out of the X Games, because then the average person stopped seeing it. So that's
True.
kind of how it got diluted from the world.
I think you are right, John. It's like there was a balance between like, okay, we're diluting our scene, but we're trying to grow the whole pie bigger, I suppose. And like Frank says, like that was good while it was like that, but then when it changed to sort of exclude rollerblading from that thing, that in South Africa was Mel and Brent started from the rollerblading side of it. It was just like a strange kind of twist, and changed how things were in the scene.
No.
I also think, now thinking about it back, I mean, there's money, there's logistics, rent, and all these things that you need to consider. And I think rollerblading probably started tapering down in popularity. And I'm just going to say it, like there was quite kind of like an onslaught on rollerblading as well to make it look uncool.
For sure.
At this stage as well. So I think the numbers just started dropping, and just looking at it to include more people, you could actually make it more feasible to hold these competitions. But you've got an interesting point, John, and I think after this we started taking things into our, like we started hosting our own competitions and stuff as well, because but this was definitely at its peak. This was.
It looks like it, bro. Doesn't look like there was a shortage of sponsors and attendees and all that. And just to add to your point there about the onslaught of against rollerblading, I remember I had it cut out and stuck on my wall as motivation, because Blunt magazine printed an Iron Fist ad with a rollerblader hanging from a noose in the tree. It was an illustration. Yeah. But that was a full A4 page ad in Blunt magazine with and it had some smart ass remark,
some funny comment.
Yeah, and it was as simple as that: a rollerblader hanging from a noose, hanging from a tree with rollerblades on in Blunt magazine. Iron Fist. This is Iron Fist's marketing campaign. That's how they were marketing on shitting on rollerbladers. It wasn't subtle. It was really a massive fuck you. It wasn't subtle at all. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I think everyone kind of pretend like ha ha ha. It wasn't ha ha ha. You know what I mean? I think for us that were in it, it was really like, okay, bro, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. Well, fuck you then. Yeah, exactly. Because consider how that would be received today. Is it some other minority type of person, or you're a minority sporter? Like today, if it was a scooter boarder or a parkour kid, or I don't know, whatever kind of person you're trying to marginalize like that, like what message are you sending to other people? I think is your point, John. Like it's blatant. It's not a cute, funny, or clever ad. It's just cunty.
And money was spent on it,
Yeah.
And sorry, Neil.
No, it's just they try to engineer like this is cool and this is not cool. Like
exactly that. They wanted to tell you, skateboarding's cool. Don't worry, you won't get ridiculed if you do this. But if you do this, we're going to ridicule you in a full-page magazine advert. And as a young kid, I mean, we were old enough already. We didn't care, and as I said, it fueled the fire for me, and most of us. Yeah. But as a youngster, if you were 10 years old, flipping through a Blunt magazine, and you see that, you're also going to be like, shit, I don't want to be a rollerblader. I don't want to get like mocked or ridiculed when I go to the skate park. So I'm not going to get it. I'm not going to try rollerblading, and I'm also going to jump on the hating thing because the older guys say it's cool or whatever,
to be cool.
I think it's just those dudes there should be some sort of justice for that, but there won't be. But you know what I mean? It has to be acknowledged at least that it wasn't subtle. It wasn't like whispering behind the back. It was pretty, print magazine. Here we go. Biggest
Yeah, but
biggest
if you
alternative
think
magazine
why
in the
they
country.
did that, if you think about it, why they did that is because they felt so threatened by rollerblading, and they were so angry at rollerblading for losing
Numbers.
their industry was going down because
Yeah.
of rollerblading. So they were so angry at rollerblading that they would do something like that to step on it to strengthen themselves, to make
So weak,
justify.
So weak.
Yeah. But I mean,
meanwhile, we were including the skateboarders and the BMXers in the competitions, in the shows, and all this stuff. We were trying to build it all together, and then to get that kind of that kind of reaction. It was,
Blunt Magazine was an Alex Gold Cup sponsor. They used to sponsor the Alex Gold Cup, and those are the sort of ads they were running. No, dude, I don't know. That really upset me. It pissed me off.
Yeah, for sure.
No,
but
didn't
anyway.
we do like some shows with them too? Like it was a Blunt Magazine sponsored show. I think
Morgan was talking about that. I think he did like a tour with them or something, and I think they did have a little piece here and there. And I was emailing the editor at the time and trying to like get more rollerblading into the magazine, and but just coming up against just silly excuses, really. Brick walls, exactly. Anyways,
some pics of Chris killing it.
This was
sick, amazing photos, bro.
Yeah.
When I so at this stage, what happened? Yeah, like I went to. Remember, we had that street comp in Pretoria, and anyway, there was this at the stadium. I took a really bad bail. It was in one of those. I think it was in Stereotype.
Dude,
I just remembered that this morning. And this place on the left with the blue rails, but one of the other blue rails that you're trying to do. I just remembered your fall this morning when I was thinking about it, and it was so rough, dude.
If you go ahead one by the slides there on the next slide ahead, I think there's Neil on that rail, and then just the top right is just after he came up from the fall. I remember it was like my hand is gebreek and my under chip or something. Excuse my Afrikaans, but you tell us.
That was So those pics of Chris. Sorry, I just want to. Like that was that. I took those pics when I was still recovering from this fall. I remember we going to a session and. Like the one on the left, that was at a club in Pretoria. The stairways up to the club, and Chris, this was just before he left Pretoria, and he said, he wants to do that rail, and I was like, dude, I could never.
Dude, that rail's hectic.
I was like, there was a time with Chris where like at one point, I think it was on that session, like he said he wants to do this or that, and I thought to myself, not to, but I just thought, yes, dude, are you sure? Because if you fall in that rail, you're gonna that's hectic. And I remember going to that rail, and he was like, "I'm gonna do it," and boom, hit it first try, done.
Oh, legend.
One time, and then we went with you guys to Wits, and that rail, I think in the middle, it's between the two highways or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I remember I went there specifically to get some nice shots of everybody as kind of like a last, him still in Pretoria, and I was still recovering, and it was just those were. I was really proud of those shots, especially that fast slide.
Yeah. Dude, that fast slide is one of the best tricks I reckon I've ever seen.
That rail is hectic, bro.
Yeah.
Very scary.
Yeah.
Oh, it's hectic rail.
And it kind of comes up like that to it. It's not flat. It's like you kind of little bit of an incline and then it drops.
I remember
and the fast slide is just the most insane trick to do.
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
know, probably
Yeah.
one of the hardest tricks you could ever do. I don't know. I thought they were really, really difficult. Like
Absolutely.
not many people doing them, and on a big burly rail like that was one of the coolest things ever.
Yeah.
But yeah, that fall, yeah. So that's because that was one of the, I think it. Yeah, that spot is quite nice. It was at that Tshwane market. I remember when we found that spot, it was like, because you could session there if it rained,
Yes.
anytime. That they had ledges, rails, you name it. And we started off at those ledges, skated that, and then we went over to next door was, well, not too far from there, was Pilditch Stadium. And I had those two rails, and I think we all just started sessioning those rails. And then the one where I fell, I remember I had MOOCs prior to this.
Yes.
And I was so used to skating with the MOOCs, we didn't have to, like, you could just jump on because the grooves were so big. You could just it kind of fell in place. And then at this street comp, I switched over to, I think it was Kaiser frames or something. And that rail at the top, I remember we all looked at it and Chris hit it. And then everybody was like, okay. And I kind of thought to myself, I'm gonna do a back 5 down it just to do something down it, and also to get the momentum going for everybody else.
Just the easy one. Yeah.
Yeah, just like just
a warm up.
And I remember just a warm up. And I went for it. I did a back 5, landed, and nothing too much. But I remember feeling I wasn't in my, you have those sessions where you just not 100% there. It's like, and I remember coming off and I was like, well, okay, that was a little bit sketchy. Maybe just concentrate a little bit more, Neil, next time. And then the second time I went, my foot just, like, as I was on it, it just went off. And I was like midway in that rail, and it happened so quickly. It was like, and then when I landed, I knew it was hard. Like, I knew it was a hard fall, but I didn't think it was that bad.
Yeah, because you got up instantly. You hit the floor and you bounced up instantly.
Yeah. And then I thought, okay, cool. I'm gonna be okay. I'm gonna and then have to, because I was bummed, gonna have the street comp. Everybody's here, we're gonna skate. And then when I looked up, my hand was standing yeah. And then I knew, okay, we've got no more skating for Neil that day.
Straight to the hospital.
Bro, so bad.
When we do the stereotype watch party, you got to join us, bro. Okay, because that's in the end of the fall section there, and it is so rough to see. Man.
That was the hardest fall I ever took. There were we all took hectic falls, but that one got to me psychologically.
Yeah.
I remember after this, I was shit scared to skate again, and I had to overcome it. Think to myself, go to sessions and be like, okay, but that was one time that you fell, and it took years for me to build confidence again. And
no, it was that bad. It was really that bad. Did you have surgery on your hand?
Yeah, I had to. My hand was pins. Yeah, I had 3 pins in these. Yeah, it was
3. Jeez, dude.
And then the other thing, I was so I had the surgery and whatever, got home and whatever, and I just remember my ribs were still super sore, and I was thinking to myself, okay, maybe I cracked a rib or something, but the pain just didn't go away. And I went to our house doctor and whatever. I told her, listen, it's still sore here, and she looked at it and she's like, no, but your ribs feel fine and everything looks like you look okay, but I can see you're in pain. Let's just go do a sonar. And they did a sonar, and when they got to this side, they were like, oh shit, here's lots of internal bleeding, and I'm lying there. Yeah, and the lady, the nurse is like, you just lie still. And I remember thinking to myself, Okay, that's like, where are you going? Firstly, and secondly, you just said to me, "I've got internal bleeding. Am I going to die?" Like, I started thinking to myself, what's it? And then anyway, like the doctor came, he's like, "Yeah, look, it seems you like hurt your spleen." And he's like, "You're lucky. A few years ago, we would have just like take your spleen out, but we've realized over years, like a spleen is a weird organ. It can heal itself. So you're just gonna stay at hospital for like the next 3 or 4 days, and we're gonna just monitor you, and you should be fine." And then like it heals itself, and I was okay. Yeah,
dude. So that was after you had surgery on your hand. Like how much after? Like a week or?
like a day or two after that.
Oh, a couple of days. Okay.
Yeah.
Dude.
I was just like, I thought to myself, okay, it's just like, a rib injury, you always like, it takes a couple of while. I thought it was just that. And then like, as I pressed it was just, no, there's something else is.
Something else.
Yeah.
Hectic,
yeah.
Oh, dude.
Crazy.
So rough.
I was actually more bummed that I missed Chris's trick, because he did that freaking huge, because I know that
that long one.
The soul and the disaster off into the
that as well. Yeah,
I was bummed I missed that one. I really would have loved to see it.
Yeah.
No,
okay, so you were on your way to the
dead
hospital.
quiet, bro. Yeah, all of us were sitting there watching Chris, dead silent.
True, bro.
Not a chip.
I remember because we'd just seen someone break their shit and go to the hospital, and now we're continuing with the comp, and Chris is trying something very high risk.
Yeah.
So, I remember. You're right. It was. You could hear a pin drop. Yeah. Hectic.
And then he would jump and like come off the rail, and we were all like, "Oh, okay." And he was like, "Okay."
Living it with him.
Dude. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that was cool. But I think the year we started organizing our own comps and stuff.
There's
there
the
was
garden rail.
The garden rail, yes.
There's your rail.
Yeah. That was, and this trip was also, this was one holiday I went down to Cape Town and visited Chris, and he was getting into the building the ramps and stuff, and that's actually his dad. We built a ramp and rails and stuff for a church. I remember spending like the whole week just we'd wake up, build ramps, skate, and he donated to some church. Yeah,
that's so cool, man. We've still got so many more pics and slides to go, but I'm just like, we don't have enough time today for that session, so I think we're gonna have to get you back on for another one sometime, Neil.
All good.
It's been so cool to hang out with you, man. Thank you for finding all those pictures and chatting to us about it.
Yeah, likewise. It's actually, it's just cool to chat again after all these years. It feels like such a long time. I wanted to ask you guys: are you all staying in Cape Town now?
I'm still in Joburg.
Are you still in Joburg?
I'm still in Joburg. Yeah.
Okay.
So not too far from you. Much closer than John and Frank. They're Cape Town in Germany. So if you're ever traveling, we gotta go hang out with them.
Yeah.
But as you saw, we were down in Cape Town in January. So hopefully next January we'll make another trip down there. And if you're around and want to do a Cape Town trip, we can hang out. That'll be cool.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. And but Byron, maybe you and I should hook up a session sometime.
Definitely, dude. Yeah, very keen.
There's some spots in Joburg that I've been eyeing. We must just orchestrate it, because we must just plan it well. It's not like when we were in our younger times.
No, exactly. The demands of modern life have caught up with us, and we don't have quite the free time we used to. But I'm very keen for a session, and I went a while back with Matt and Earl. So if we ever going to go hit up a skate park again, I'll drop you a line and see if you can make it.
Yeah, that'd be awesome, mate. Yeah.
Let's do that. We gotta bring it back, and we gotta find a place for our own skate park one of these days.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna build a portable thing, and I'll let you guys know when that's up and running.
Sick.
Sick.
Oh, sick.
No, dude, thanks for putting together all the photos and also getting together those edits and putting them up for everyone to check. I think that's also a big part of this is, so we've all got this stuff sitting on our computers or whatever, and let's just have it out there for everyone to be able to access it and share it with their families and friends and whatever, for us to have it, not just in the memory, but to actually physically be able to show it to people and see it ourselves and share those memories again has been really rad. So sorry we didn't get through all of them, bro. I know there was a lot more, and there was a lot more I wanted to hear about, especially your time at Winter Clash and all of that. So maybe we're gonna have to do another one. Maybe Hugo can join and we can hear a bit more about PTA, how you guys met, and yeah, we're definitely going to do a part 2, I think, of this. So shot for your time, bro. Really appreciate the efforts.
Cool.
Oh, thank you, Neil. Appreciate it.
Thanks for you guys. Thanks for doing this. This is such a cool initiative. Like, I've really enjoyed the episodes and stuff that you guys have put out so far. It's always cool to check it. So well done.
Thanks, Neil. We appreciate that.
Thank you, Neil.
And, yeah, thank you again. Peace out, everyone out there. Don't forget to subscribe. We'll catch you later.
Peace.
Peace.
Peace.